Yeah, good day, good morning to everybody. So I said, I'm Alexander. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SOFTGAMES. It's a very big pleasure to be here today and to share with you 5 learnings how we basically found success with messenger games. If you might never heard about SOFTGAMES, just give you some kind of background. So SOFTGAMES is purely focused on HTML5 games since 2012. Since then, we've built over 500 hyper-casual games in HTML5, and these are embedded on around 2,500 partners all over the globe, and played by around 30 million users every month outside of the Facebook Messenger. Beside this business unit, we're one of the top messenger game developers on Facebook instant games, with around 80 live titles, including hits like Cookie Crush, as we saw before, Solitaire Story, Bubble Shooter, and so on and so on. We have joined Instant Games as one of 15 exclusive launch partners back in 2016, so almost 2 years ago right now, or more than 2 years ago. And till today, around 70 million people have played our games on Messenger. So until September 2018, actually, all our games, including these on Messenger, have been solely monetized through advertisement. So due to our history, our DNA was just all about advertisement. So we've become experts in showing the right ad to the right user in the right moment. And this gave us an advantage when Facebook introduced ad monetization for instant games in late 2017. But when Facebook announced in-app purchase for instant games, we were feeling super excited. We saw the opportunity to increase our ARPDAU of our games dramatically, mainly because of two reasons. On the one hand, everybody knows that with in-app purchase, users can purchase packages with basically no limitation. So highly engaged users, whales, are spending thousands of euros per month. And if you compare this to an advertisement, this whale would have to watch a lot of advertisement in order to generate the same revenue. So on the other hand, with in-app purchase, we finally could control our revenue. It is now in our hands if the user makes a purchase or not. But your ad revenue mainly depends on external factors you can basically not control, like the eCPM or the fill rate, a lot of other factors as well. So until this moment, before we introduced microtransactions into our games, we could only scale our revenue with generating more ad requests within the games. But besides being a much bigger opportunity, in-app purchase or microtransactions was also a much bigger challenge for us, because it was something completely new for us. Nevertheless, we still managed to double our daily revenues by introducing microtransactions into our games. And let us look back how we did this actually. So at first, we decided to invest a lot of time in experiments before we rolled out in-app purchase globally. We've been mainly curious to see the impact of microtransactions on our ad revenues. So therefore, our plan was to make it available only to a small user group of new users in a specific geo across some games, actually. And here's what we've learned. So we realized, actually, pretty early, that we had to fix our whole in-game economy of our games. So they were not optimized for in-app purchase at all. So instead, the games were basically optimized for advertisement, for obvious reasons, right? So the users could get everything they want, everything they need for just watching an unlimited amount of advertisement. So they felt like Dagobah Duck here. Yeah? So we had to fix that first. So our mission was to create a higher value for each premium item within the game. So we had to limit the supply of the premium currency, of the lives, of the boosters, and whatever is in the games there, while we're increasing the demand for it. So the action we actually took at the end of the day was pretty tough for us, because we created less ad spaces, resulting in less ad requests, and ultimately also in less ad revenue in the short term. So I believe I can say that at this stage, we've been slightly concerned what would happen, actually, but we just basically followed our plan because we believed in this kind of step. So while we prepared the economy for microtransactions, we had to keep in mind that we need to design 3 different balancing sets. I think Joy already mentioned that, for example, on Android, you have both in-app purchase and rewarded advertisement. But on desktop, you only today and also back at this time, you only had microtransactions. And then for iOS, you only have rewarded video or rewarded ads, let's say, so no in-app purchase at all. And you have to keep this in mind when, as you said, you have to create this kind of balancing chat. So, for example, in Cookie Crush, yeah, we had a lot of different flows and use cases and exceptions, and at some point we experienced quite a few dead ends as part of our dead ends for the users as part of our learning curve. So optimizing these special cases at the end of the day took us much longer and required much more resources as we actually expected at the beginning. But after, finally, a few weeks of tweaking and investing a lot of time and resources inside the economy, we finally launched the in-app purchase test. So we were super excited, pressing on the button and seeing the money flushing in, actually. But yeah, the first results were basically just disappointing. So what happened? So over the time, we saw that the test group just got bigger and bigger, but the amount of microtransactions or transactions did not really increase, actually. So what happened? So we all went back into the room, analyzed the data, and tried to find out, okay, what might be the reason here? And then after a while, we realized that we just basically made a huge mistake. Yeah, as said before, we enabled in-app purchase only for new users, and expected immediate results. But as we all know, that basically, the most committed players are willing to play for your game. So that these are people who already spent a lot of time within your game, who play at very, very high levels, actually. So definitely not new users only. So based upon this learning, actually, we expanded our test group. So beside new users, we also added users with a higher game progress in the game. And this finally resulted in much better numbers. So based on this success, we said, okay, hey, now it's time to go all in and make in-app purchase available to all the users globally across all different games, let's say. And after we did this finally, we introduced microtransaction globally to all users. The first results were basically just stunning. So since day one, we actually doubled our daily revenues in certain games, while the income from advertisement was stable and is also currently still growing at some point. So what was the reason for this, actually? So for example, for Cookie Crush, one of the main drivers for the this increase in revenue was basically that new levels had a much, much bigger impact now on revenue than ever before. Why? Because as said, our new content is basically optimized for players who play at very, very high levels and spend the most time within, for example, Cookie Crush. And as soon as they get a new challenge, they want to solve them, and therefore want to spend also, are willing to spend the money for solving these kind of new levels. Additionally, besides higher revenues, microtransactions also had a very positive effect on our long-term retention. And as we all know, retention can distinguish great games from okay ones. And also, as Joy said before, the algorithm loves high retention games, let's say, or long-term retention. So retention is basically king, but not only on instant games. So, but after we've introduced in-app purchase, for example, in Cookie Crush, we saw an increase of 20% of our day 7 retention. All right, so to summarize a bit, so introducing microtransactions into your messenger game is the way to go in order to become successful on the platform. It helps you to boost your revenues and also your long-term player retention. The good thing is free-to-play mobile games have gone a long way of establishing in-app purchase to a broad audience. So there are, even if you're indie, there are tons of best practices and proven monetization mechanics out there you can learn from. What does it mean for us? So for us, the first promising results are basically just the start. We're still working on, and we believe that basically just only by further improving and optimizing and tweaking and fine-tuning the games, that we can basically further even grow or get another tweak in there. All right, that's actually from my side. Thanks for listening. I'm very happy to take your question. I'm very happy also to give